Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at upnradio.com.
It's time for the Bonnie Sher Show, a whirlwind of wit, wisdom, celebrity, and the boomer life. With a little bit of this and a lot of that and so much more you don't want to miss, here's Bonnie.
Well, there's our start into the new year. Welcome to our first show of the new year, to old friends, to new friends, close by, far away. Thank you all for dropping by today, and I wish, I wish you all the best of health and best of the new year. I happen to be cranky today, but I'm going to remember there's no reason to be cranky. I got up this morning. So let's just before we really get on the road with our show today, today we have novelist, screenwriter, playwright, Jessie Kornbluth. And then later, as my Type 1 guest co-host, we have the lovely Miss Doris Hobbs. So get comfortable. Watch the show, enjoy it. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to call in. If you don't, all right, the number here is 323-843-2826. But if for any reason you can't get through, you can always write to me, Bonnie@BonnieSher.com, and I'll get back to you with an answer. So now let's just keep going, and before we get started, I would like to thank Corey Bowen for the jewelry which he designs and allows me to wear in exchange for this promotional mention. You can visit Corey at I'll fix that. At Crown and Anchor Jewelry on SD.com. When we come back, novelist, screenwriter, and playwright Jessie Kornbluth. We gotta take a break.
Your life story is more than the things you do. It's a story built on the moments you make today and the impact you have on others. How big is your story going to be? Live your legend.
And welcome back. I'm very pleased to be able to say hello to Jessie Kornbluth. Hello, Jessie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Thank you so much for taking the time on this chilly New York day. Which, of course,
no, it's just the opposite. I'm honored.
Aww.
The fact that I could not possibly go anywhere is the least of it. I'm really thrilled. I've spent a lot of my life asking people questions. I always thought, when's it going to be my turn? And now today it is. I love this. Thanks so much.
Oh, I'm so happy we were able to put this together. Jesse, why don't you give our audience an idea? Let's start a little before, and then we'll get to what's grooving and rocking your world right now. From what I have read and I have learned by reading, you're a wordsmith. You're a writer. You worked for AOL. You were there. What am I reading? Tell the nice people. You're a writer. Where does that come from?
When I was 8 years old, I wrote the class play, and the girls liked it. I couldn't play guitar. I wasn't great at sports, and I discovered that I got approval and the affection of females if I wrote. Anybody who ever picked up a guitar and became a rock and roll star has a similar answer. Half the athletes in the world too. You do what gets you somewhere.
Well, you certainly had a great path to that, because look at all the wonderful things that you do. I have so many things to ask you. I know that there is an entity entitled Head Butler. Could you please explain what Head Butler is about?
Sure. When I was a journalist for like 4 decades, I had a toxic relationship with Graydon Carter at Vanity Fair, and I was so angry I walked out on my job without getting another. Stupid. So I had a splendid opportunity to write for $3,000 pieces that I had been paid $30,000 for. Stupid. And so I went to the internet. I started with a friend the first book site on AOL, and 5 months later I was the editorial director of AOL in the glory years, and then they ended, and I went back to writing. It turned out I really missed the internet, but I didn't miss working with 150 people, and I thought I'd do something in which there was only one person to blame, and that would be me. So I started Head Butler, which is a cultural concierge. The basic idea is everything that's ever been made is available on Amazon. We don't have to all review the new book that everybody's doing, the new movie, the new record. You can review anything. And so 4 days a week at about 800 words, I write these very enthusiastic recommendations where I grab you by the collar and tell you, if you don't do this, your life will not be enriched. And I've been doing that for 13 years. It's like doing a daily theme in school. It just gets me going, and it keeps me in contact with a lot of people. And then also, I crowd edit. So like every time I write something big, I ask 50 people if they want to comment on it. I don't understand why more writers don't do this, but it really is helpful. Because, as you know, a smart community is smarter than the smartest person in it, and my community is smart, and I get really helpful advice. And so my movies are better, my plays are better, my books are better. There's your answer.
Well, I like that. I love that answer, as a matter of fact. But do me a favor, Jesse, hold on to that thought, because on that topic, I'd like to chat with you about what's coming up this Sunday, the Golden Globes, and talk about what, if any of the films, well, talk the Globes. Everybody else does, but we'll have a better answer here. So hold on to that thought, and we'll be right back.
Peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't deal this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. And making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
You have plans, moments you're looking forward to. What if they were stolen from you by Alzheimer's? This cruel disease costs Americans more than $170 billion a year and could cripple Medicare in the near future. The Alzheimer's Association is taking action and has been a part of every major advancement. But we won't rest until we have a cure. You have plans. Help the Alzheimer's Association protect them. Act now. Go to alz.org.
You are tuned into the Bonnie Sher Show. We have the pleasure of speaking with Jesse Kornbluth, who is going, and we are going to pick up where we left off before the break. Pick up, please.
So, if you go to Head Butler right now, HEADBUTLER.com, between now and Sunday, you will see my comments on the Golden Globes. Now, the Golden Globes, as everybody knows, are fake news because the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is a fake association.
Didn't we just used to call that bullshit? But
There are 90 members of the Foreign Press Association. Their names are not revealed because some of them are so barely writers. One of them, I believe, is a Russian bodybuilder. But the nominations are actually pretty good, and there's a reason. Because there's one way they make money, and that is through this television show. And the way you get a television show to work is you have big stars come and be live, sitting at tables, drinking, and seeming like your friends next door, just more attractive. So the nominations are kind of skewed toward films that will make stars show up. And that's fine. I got no quibble with it. You know, the game is what it is. But what I did is I made a list of my 8 favorites of the year, 3 of which are on nobody's list because they're small films who don't have big stars that would matter to the Golden Globes. And then I took a couple of pot shots at Dunkirk, The Post, and Darkest Hour, all of which to me were seriously flawed films, and in the most basic ways that elude criticism because they come with so much hype that the critics can't really speak against them. So it's sort of a little, I don't know, party that I have at the expense of the Golden Globes, and also really trying to get people to get the DVDs or stream a couple of really terrific films.
Do you have? All right. Well, we can send people to your website.
But you know, but let me say this: there are films in theaters that are terrifically worth seeing, and they're worth seeing in theaters because a big screen is really better. The Shape of Water is an amazing film. Lady Bird is excellent, and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri has probably the Oscar performance for Frances McDormand. But then there are these little films. Beatrice at Dinner. Do you know this film?
I don't.
I bet you don't. Their Finest. Oh, my God. I've seen it 3 times. A much better film about World War II. And then Patterson, a film that no one has seen, starring Adam Driver as a bus driver in Patterson, New Jersey. So, to me, those are enriching experiences. You know, the films that made the most money, which were Disney films, 3 of them, Beauty and the Beast, Star Wars, and Wonder Woman, you know, those are films that really don't matter a whole bunch unless you have small children or you like stuff. And I'm a grown-up. I want to deal with grown-up issues. The books I write, the movies I write, the plays I write, they're about adult love stories. And by adult, I don't mean like, you know, porn. I mean like they deal with real, with what I think are real issues of romance, affection, and intimacy.
Wonderful. Okay, I have one more question for you that I can pop up with. Please, would you share with my audience how they can how they may follow you? I think I read just the other day that you have a website up now of your own, as well as Head Butler.
If you go to Head Butler, you will also see on the left side a link to jessekornbluth.com. Yes. And it holds all the journalism I've ever had that's been on the web, all my books and some other stuff, and you can get thoroughly sick of me if you spend enough time on it. But there's like way too much information, but it's all there. And incredibly, I have actually really nice fans. I mean, a guy I know wrote me and said, I live in Florida. I have the Springsteen ticket. I can't go. Can I sell it to you? And, you know, Springsteen tickets are going for like between $2,000 and $7,000. I said, how much? He said, $400. I said, sold. I had no idea what it was. It was in the third row center, and I gave it as a present to my stepson, who was in tears, which was not really right because I owe this kid more than he ever owes me. But I have those kinds of readers. They tell me what to do, and your audience is invited to do that. I answer all email. I think it's the only polite way to deal with this stuff, and so that happens. Yeah. What they can't see there is my play, which is opening in San Diego next Thursday, and you have to actually physically go to that.
You just next Thursday. What time? It's probably a 7:30 curtain. What house is holding it?
It's 8:00. It's a company called the Vantage Theater. They're wonderfully innovative, and it's at the 10th Avenue Art Center. And if you went to vantagetheater.com, you would get all the information.
And the name of the play is?
The play is The Color of Light.
The Color of Light.
It's a reference to really the core of the work of Henri Matisse, who was essentially the poet-painter of light. And it refers really specifically to the way the light goes through the windows at the chapel at Vence, Vence, in France, which is the subject of the play. How an atheist came to make a play for to make a chapel for Catholics, because he had this wonderful spiritual romance with a nun. It's the story of a man at the end of his life who makes a masterpiece, what he describes really as the masterpiece of his whole life, and who dies in love and loved in his own bed. And it struck me when I learned about this story that this is exactly what isn't going to happen for most of us. We're going to die in the hospitals alone with tubes in our arms among strangers. And I thought, this is exactly what I want for myself, what I wish for everyone. And I could write this play that showed that, that it was possible, that gave people, inspiration and hope, because I only write happy endings. I don't understand the point of writing downers. And I constructed a play which you will, if it works, and I haven't seen it, but I've read it with friends and I've seen the reaction. If it works, you leave the theater weeping with joy, and that is just so cool.
And it feels so wonderful. Oh, it's the best.
Well, there's not a lot of upbeat stuff out now, and it just seemed to me that although things in the world are really kind of wretched, there's a kind of balance. As a poet says, how bright a light there must be to cast so dark a shadow. And Matisse was looking for the light, and I'm looking for the light, and the people I love are looking for the light, because otherwise you're just taking up space and being a downer. I don't get it.
Well, I literally have, goosebumples. That's what I call them. I do. You gave the woman goosebumples. And I thank you for that. I haven't had a good goosebumple in a very long time. But I am not diminishing.
If you came to New York today, you'd have goosebumples all day, because
you don't
the wind is now insane and the cold is
cold. I already got cold this morning looking at it on the news, and if y'all could see what I've got on from the waist down, I have about 4 layers on, just in case it blows my way. No, I never need to be cold like that again. I never need to slip on black ice again as long as I live. I love New York. I love it in the spring. I love it in the fall. I hate it in the summer because my hair frizzes. Anyway, Jesse, thank you again so much. I've learned a lot, and I am just so very pleased that you could share your time here with us on the Bonnie Sher Show today.
Bonnie, it is I who thank you.
You're very kind. Be well.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Personally, I thought he was a very cool guy. I could listen to him for another hour, but I'd have to go off the air because there's certainly somebody coming in here after me. So, what I would like to do now is to mention the important work of the Diabetes Research Institute, and I encourage you to visit them online at diabetesresearch.org. Really. Our song of the day is coming up next, right after this.
Type 1 diabetes can be living in anyone.
Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. It's not caused by your diet. It's not caused by anything you did.
Type 1 diabetes can be very serious.
Blindness, amputation.
Learn more about type 1 diabetes.
Help support JDRF finding a cure.
T1D looks like my brother.
T1D looks like a friend.
Type 1 diabetes looks like me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nancy Lamont.
Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, but the world goes round. Sometimes you lose every nickel you had, but the world goes round. Sometimes your dreams get broken in pieces, but that doesn't alter a thing. Take it from me, there's still gonna be a summer, a winter, a fall, and a spring. And sometimes a friend starts treating you bad, but the world goes on. And sometimes your heart breaks with a deafening sound. Somebody loses and somebody wins. One day it's kicks, then it's kicks in the shins, but the planet spins and the world goes around and around. But the world goes round. But the world goes round. Sometimes your dreams get broken in pieces, but that doesn't matter at all. Take it from me, there's still gonna be a summer, a winter, a spring, and a fall. And sometimes a friend starts treating you bad, but the world goes on. And sometimes your heart breaks with a deafening sound. Somebody loses and somebody wins. One day it's kicks, then it's kicks in the shins, but the planet spins and the world goes around and round and around and around and around. The world goes round and round and round and
But the World Goes Round, sung by the late and marvelous Miss Nancy Lamont. Well, some singer. Welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show, Boomer Life. And I'd like to welcome now my co-host for this segment, who is Doris Hobbs, a member of the T1 community, living right here in the great state of California. So hello, Doris.
Hi, Bonnie. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I was half asleep when I walked in here, but y'all just get me so revved up. It's lucky I don't have a larcenous soul. Anyway, I would have stolen that song, said it was me, and none of yous would have known. Anyway, my dear, tell me what's going on. First of all, I'm not sure that all of our audience remembers your last appearance with us, and I'd like to bring them up to speed. So give me an idea of, tell me your story. You've been a diabetic how long? We all have our story. I don't think there's a diabetic I've ever met who can't tell me to a sliver, what that day was like and what then ensued. So fill us in, would you please?
Okay, so it was the age of 33 was when I was diagnosed, and it's kind of one of those bittersweet stories where it has a moral to it. Don't run from it. Face the fact and take care of it. But for myself, I ran from it, and I kept on running until October. I already knew in the beginning of the year, in 2014, something was wrong because I'm a high energy person. I'm, always here, there, doing something. And when you go to the doctor saying you're fatigued and you're not feeling good, you have no energy, that's kind of, a red flag there. So I went in January of 2014 saying that, and my doctor said it could have been stress. I was like, I don't got stress, but okay. And so what happened after that, they wanted to do some testing on me and blood work, and I said no. I flat out said no, I don't want to do it, because in the back of my mind, diabetes runs in my family. My dad's been a diabetic, T1 diabetic since the age of 2. My sister got it at 21. So now I'm at 32, and then I turned 33. But anyways, so I was like, gosh, could this be it? So I ran from it, and it was during the summertime. My sister and I had dinner one night, no sugar, no high carbs. At the end of dinner, she pricked my finger, and it was like 260. Crazy number. And she started crying because she already automatically knew, like, my blood sugar should have never been that high if I had anything carby or sugary. And there I go in denial, going, no, you're wrong. Your meter's wrong. And so I kept on running from it until it came to the point where I had no energy. I was losing weight. My value of my life was pretty much gone. My vision was leaving me. I was so thirsty. I mean, everything that was hitting me hit me, and came to the point when, I finally got some lab work. I finally forced myself to do it. I got some lab work, and then I went to bed that night, and it was like 10:30 at night or something, and the Vallejo Lab Center or whatever called, and they were urging me to come in to the ER. And I was like, why do I have to come into the ER? And they're like, we got your lab work back, and we can't discuss it over the phone. We need a doctor to discuss it, but we need you to come in. It's life and death. Well, that was the night where my boyfriend took the phone, and he was like, well, we don't want to pay the ER bill and this and that. And I looked at him, and this is so memorable. I looked at him, and felt like such like crap. And I looked at him, and I said, it's time. It's time. So he said, are you sure? I was like, it's time. I don't want to run no more. And so we got dressed and we went to the ER, and the doctor said it was a good thing because your levels were at 11.2%. So it was one of those things. I'm hard-headed. So yeah. So I ran. I gave it a good run. So I tried to run from diabetes, but it got me.
So tell me, now bring me up to date. That's some story, though. I mean, I was much younger than that, and I was already, in those days, I developed just before my 16th birthday, and I was told
Oh.
that. I mean, I don't remember hearing that much about an LADA. You know, a latent autoimmune, you know what I mean. You know, because it seems strange to many people that I, at almost 16, would develop the type 1, but we didn't hear about people in their, at least I didn't, and I thought I was pretty much on top of it. But I think psychologically there's a great difference. Not saying that one is any better. I mean, it's like I can't think of a good time to get diabetes. That would never come to mind. Sort of like a bad time to get money. Gee, that money got to me at the best time. And what, in fact, is a bad money day? I can't imagine myself ever saying, "Oh no, not money!" But I digress. Somebody will talk to me about that later, Gay, right? Yeah, I know. I can't help it. I have such a good time talking to you. Okay, so now bring me up to present time. So you had deemed yourself a bad girl. You were bad. You avoided it. Well, apparently you turned your head around, and it's quite evident when I read what you're doing and I see what you're doing. And you and I had a chat last week talking about your diet and your exercise. Now, interestingly, a lot of people will look at a slender type 1. First of all, they tell us we can't possibly have diabetes. We're too thin. Oh, good. Why didn't you tell me that 50 years ago? Would have saved me on. But what is it that you do? I mean, do you follow, quote, I hate the word diet, a regime that specifies something? I mean, is it low carb? Is it Mediterranean? In talking about that. And what I've seen that recently, you have been involved with yoga, which I personally think is just fantastic. So would you, if I stop talking long enough, I hear you, Gay. I want to know. Inquiring minds sitting here in LA want to know how it is you keep looking so good, my girl, and feeling well.
Okay. It's actually it's quite simple, and for me, it's kind of like, okay, so I was diagnosed, everything happened, so I went to bed I went to bed when I came back from the ER, woke up the next morning, and I was like this. Either I could make something positive out of it, or I could say, woe is me, and that next morning, I said, I'm going to do something positive of it, and I jumped on fixing my lifestyle, because now with becoming a diabetic, your lifestyle changes. And I've met all different types of diabetics, where there's some diabetics that change their lifestyle, meaning their diet, their fitness routine, their mindset, and so on. And then there's other diabetics that say, no, I'm going to eat my pasta, I'm going to drink my soda, I'm going to live my life, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, I kind of feel, in my own perspective, diabetes came to me to make me a better person, which it has. It made me the woman I needed to be. And I always say that, and it's crazy enough, but I do, because it's made me healthier. It's made me smarter. It's made me just such an amazing go-getting person, not like I was before, but even more than before, because now it's like, after this all happened, I was like, all right, so now I have, my pancreas doesn't want to work. I can't really eat carbs unless I have insulin. I'm trying to figure this all out. And I'm like, okay, how can I fix this so I can still live somewhat of a normal life like I was? So I kind of sat back and said, okay, what's the first thing I need to cut out? No one's going to like this, but this is what you need to cut out. Gluten. You got to cut out the carbs and the gluten and the bread and the crackers, all of that, because that is just bad. I have people that I've told to cut it out of their diet, and they have more energy and they've lost more weight in such a quick time, just getting rid of the bread and the gluten out of their life. And for me, it's like 90%. Like, I will have a cookie. I'm human. We're all human, so we'll all have a cookie here and there. But for the most part, 90% of my diet is not gluten, not bread, none of that. So I mean, that's a huge, gluten-free, love it. So I mean, that's what you have to do there. And then of course, sugar Sugar's not great either. You got to cut that out. I don't drink soda. I never really have in my whole life. So that's kind of another strange thing. Like, I never was a big sugar person, never drank soda growing up. So for me to be a diabetic, it was the strangest thing. No one could figure out, how did you become a diabetic? You don't like eating all this crappy food, and you're always healthy. You're always working out. How did you get it? Well, I kind of think in so many ways it was for me to be a voice in the diabetes community and put positivity and glamour to it, which I have, and you've seen everything that I've done. And I kind of feel like for me, it's been just in a way of getting a lifestyle, because I don't believe in diets, because diets don't work, obviously. You have to change your mindset to a lifestyle. So it's kind of like, how do I explain this? So it's kind of like, okay, if I'm a diabetic and I want to have a healthy life, I got to change my lifestyle. So I got to commit myself to not eating these bad foods and write the foods down. And then you have to kind of marry yourself to that. And as soon as you get your mindset into it, past 14 days, and your taste buds start changing and stuff, you'll start rejecting that food and you'll be okay. It's just getting past that and being consistent on it. And it's also, what do they call it? A paradigm shift. Any paradigm you have, like a bad habit, you've got to replace it with something new. So, okay, for example, if let's say you drink soda all the time and that's bad for you, you have to replace it with something else, or you're never going to give the soda up. Because if you give it up and that's it, and you have nothing to replace it, you're going to go back to the soda, given. Right. So you have to replace certain food, like the bad food, with certain good foods, and get your body used to it. And for me, I'm up 4:30 in the morning. People think I'm crazy, but I'm up 4:30 doing running a mile, doing some strength training, and then I do it again in the evening. So I mean, I'm up to like 2 to 3 miles a day.
That's fantastic.
It's just amazing. But you look at that picture you posted up there from my T1D Exposed new calendar photo shoot.
What fun that must have been.
I mean, that photo shoot was amazing, because that was me up after 2 years of being a diabetic and really going strong on taking care of my health and eating healthy and being in this different lifestyle. It was amazing when you look at that picture. It's like I was able to look in the studio when they were showing me a couple images. That was the photo evidence to me, to physically see it in a photo of all that hard work that I was doing really paid off, because I felt like I looked so good, and I was like, damn, I worked so hard for this. And that's why that photo shoot meant so much to me.
Well, you've done a wonderful thing all the way around. It's really a pleasure to know you, I got to tell you. I just want to address with you now, when you spoke of the gluten sensitivity, or about glutens themselves, many type 1s, I have a predisposition to the... and then they'll say, but it's not really, you don't really have it, but boy, I sure do feel better when I don't have any of it. And then when you're talking about carbs in general, when I was first diagnosed almost 50 years ago now, it was never even mentioned to us that we could take some extra insulin and eat what we wanted. I don't believe that's the case. I mean, your numbers are still going to go up. You may not see them go up before they come down because you have taken extra insulin for the coverage, but still in all, those numbers, I mean, if you're on a CGM and you watch those numbers, those leading up to the 2-hour postprandial, then you can see it. Was that something that you kept in mind also, or was it strictly from the dietary point of view?
Well, my goal was I have this thing where my mindset's very different from other diabetics, I guess. I want to live in the world that I want to create, not the world I live in. So in the world I live in, there's no diabetes. So I want to create this world, and I want to be a positive reinforcement of it. So for me, it was like, how am I going to create this world? How am I going to be a part of this and make this work? So with my A1C level, it was 11.2 when I started off. So then I started doing, cutting the gluten out and cutting out the bad foods and learning about the biochemistry of how the food breaks down and stuff. Like when I see people eat pasta now, I just look at it as a bowl of sugar because that's how it's breaking down in your body. So now I look at food and I understand how it's breaking down in your body. So I think about all the times I did have pasta in the past when I was younger. It was like, oh my gosh, I was just eating a bowl of sugar, like pure sugar, because that's how it's breaking down in your body. But for me, the proof of it, of hard work, good positive mindset, and just really making yourself determined, for me was 11.2% down to 5.9% in 3 years. And my doctor looked at me and she said, that's like pre-diabetic level. Like, how are you doing this? And I told her, and she's like, I wish all my patients would do this and have that mindset. I said, I have
tell her
a
to introduce you. You're a great role model for the cause, my friend. And I want to thank you for being with us today. Before I let you go, though, please share with the audience how they can follow you. You know my spiel. You've watched my show. I know. We know you have a Facebook presence. I happen to have also done some searching, and I see that you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, but you gotta know, and you have a website, which we're showing right now. So let us know all the things that we're showing. Back these up for us so people can follow you.
Okay, so the best way, if you want to have like a conversation with me and talk to me, Twitter is the best way. So that's just Doris Hobbs. So on Twitter, that's easy. If you're a Facebooker, just go again, Doris Hobbs or Rich in Love. So either way, you'll find me, but I use my Doris Hobbs more often. And then on Instagram, that's Rich in Love Fashion. And then there's the website, richinlovefashion.com. And with that, what I love about my website is it's not only my fashion blog on there, it's not only like all my media and, my work with Gladys Magazine and Napa Valley Life. It's also, I have a tab of diabetes awareness, so you get to kind of get a feel of my take on diabetes and get to see that lovely picture you posted of my nude photo shoot. But, so I mean, that's just the best ways to contact me, and I'm always there to support the diabetes community. If you want to do collaborations or just talk, I'm always there to support people, and I just want everybody to be positive and just find a cure, and let's just unite together on this. So,
well, thank you. Happy New Year to you. Let's talk soon. And you take good care. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
If any of you other type 1 diabetics would like to be my co-host on a weekly broadcast of the Bonnie Sher Show, Boomer Life, it's so easy. Here's what you do. You write to me at bonnie@bonniesher.com. Just like that, we'll get a date, and you will be my T1 co-host and see what you'd like to share with the diabetes community. Okay, then. So, next we're going to do Boomer News, and then quickly, because we don't have much time left, I'm going to do my soapbox shtick and back in 60 seconds.
I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a social worker. When I found out that I had hepatitis C, I was a single mother, and I was absolutely terrified.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, estimates there are close to 3 million baby boomers infected with hepatitis C. Because there can be no symptoms for decades, most don't even know it. But if detected in time, Hep C can be cured, and the treatment is simple.
Today I feel great. I'm a healthy 65-year-old. I bike to work, I go to the gym, and I've cleared the virus.
The CDC is urging everybody born between 1945 and 1965 to get tested. It's an easy one-time blood test that may be covered by insurance.
I got a disease that could have killed me, but I saved my own life by getting tested.
Don't wait. Ask your doctor about getting tested for Hep C, because knowing is everything.
is that better? What can I tell you? I had an itch on the bottom of my foot and I couldn't get my shoe up. Okay. Too much information? Okay, so here's the soapbox. The soapbox, as you might know, is who I think is to be congratulated, and the shout down, of course, is to people and entities whom I feel should just be ashamed of themselves. So, we're going to start out with a shout out to the new year. Whew. I am so ready for a new year. I can't thank you all enough for sticking it out with me. We've been here now 2.5 years, and it's because of all of you. And I can't meet each and every one of you, although it'd be nice. Let me please wish you the happiest and healthiest of New Year's in a very, very difficult time. And I thank you. I thank you. Now, my shout down is what is going on with Puerto Rico already? Last night I heard 50% of the island is still without power. So just think about it for a second from the point of view of what? A diabetic? A, how are they getting their insulin? That's a problem. B, well, how are they going to keep it cold? Because there's no power, not to water to make ice. So what are you going to do? It's awful. And I heard this morning that this is going to be a big problem from anybody who manufactures on the island. And as we diabetics know, those Medtronic sensors we're all waiting for, well, that's where they are being manufactured. So, what the heck, man? I just don't get it. Help the people out. They're Americans, right? Okay, I'm done with that. Now, that's our show. And I hope y'all come back and visit me for 50 minutes next week. Another fine show. Boy, this is just turning out to be a great January despite me. But forget all that. Until we see each other again next week, please follow the #1 Bonnie Sher on Twitter. Check out my new website at bonniesher.com. And let's see else. What else do I want to do? I'd also like to direct you to my entertainers page on Facebook, which is Bonnie Sings Lena. And also, you can catch my weekly shows right there. So heaven forbid you can't find me anywhere else. I'm always on my own page. I'm like that. But, and finally, this is finally, you are all probably well aware of the very special mentor-friend relationship that I shared with Sammy Davis Jr. Friendships like that come along once in a lifetime, and so I continue to honor that friendship, and I continue to honor that man. So, Mr. D, with a wink and a smile, I want to say thank you. And I want to thank all of you. See you next week.